In this video, we're going to talk about setting up your drawing, whether it's in a one-point perspective like this, where the vanishing point's in the center, or a one-point perspective like this, where the vanishing point is on the side. I have it due in stages so you can get some feedback. So for tomorrow, get the setup drawing done. Wednesday, make adjustments. Thursday, figure out the pencil, and Friday, turn it in. I'm going to show you, starting off, how to do it if the vanishing point is in the center. That will apply to both drawings, so make sure to watch that. And then if your vanishing point is off to the side, continue watching just for a few little tips on how to approach that and things to look out for. You should at this point have a photograph of a space that has either the floor and or the ceiling going flat across your paper side to side, so it's even with the bottom of your paper and the top of your paper, and there's the floor. And if you look, my windows are also even with that, so everything is lined up horizontally. I have the green lines representing that whole back wall. I have these blue lines, which are called orthogonals, and those are all going toward this red dot, which is your vanishing point. So make sure that you know exactly where your vanishing point is. And the horizon line is this orange line, and that represents my eye level. So to start by setting it up, I want to look at this green line right here, the back wall, and I want to see how much of the paper space or how much of the photograph it takes up. So if you can see, the green line doesn't carry across the top and it doesn't go all the way to the sides. There's a little bit of space on the right side, a little bit of space on the left side, and a lot of space on the floor. So it's almost halfway up my page. So when I go to draw that, I want it to take up the same amount of space on my piece of paper. So on this side now is my piece of paper, and you can see next to it on my computer I have the photograph I was just showing you. So if I look at this green line on my computer and I look at the amount of space that it takes up here, I might estimate that from my edge of my paper to that green line, it will be approximately this much space. These drawings should be really close, but you don't have to measure to exact inches, but visually they should look the same. So if I replace that with my ruler, and I draw my vertical line down, and I look at where does it stop in my photograph. So I would say that it stops just a little past halfway down. Same thing on the left-hand side, how much space is here. Draw that line down. And then where does this crossbar green line come across? So again, if this is halfway down, it might just be a tiny bit underneath that. And now that will represent the green lines in the photograph. So that's my back wall. If I'm looking at that back wall now, where is my vanishing point? Is it here? Well, if I put it up there, I think that would be too tall. I don't think it's that close to the top edge of my paper. So the amount of space from here down, I think it would be approximately here. And side to side of the green wall, it's in the middle. So that's going to be my red dot. Once I have my red dot, I can draw this across, and that is going to be my horizon line. So now I have the green lines drawn, the orange line drawn, and the red dot drawn on my paper. So if you look, there's a couple of more green lines. I'm going to add those in. This green line and this green line. And those represent where the floor and the wall meet. I know this one isn't 100% on. It's close, but I couldn't get it to line up. The computer wouldn't let me, so that's as close as I could get it. The way that you're going to draw it is you're going to put your ruler on this vanishing point, and you're going to put your ruler on this corner, and you're going to draw away. So you want to make sure you have a really nice, sharp pencil point. It's on the actual vanishing point. Then you put your ruler up to the vanishing point against your pencil. Put your pencil over here, slide your ruler against it, Go back, make sure you can still touch the vanishing point. You can see mine shifted. I can't see it anymore. There we go. Make sure I'm still on the corner. So it might take a little bit of adjusting back and forth. Make sure your pencil point can touch both. And then I'm going to draw that green line coming away. Going to do the same thing now from the vanishing point to this corner and out. And now that's my floor space. It doesn't have to be completely symmetrical. Like if you look at it, this wall is slightly different than that wall, and that's okay. If in my picture, it's slightly different. What matters is that everything is going exactly to this vanishing point. All right, now the next thing I want you to do is to pick two objects and to draw boxes around them. So let's say I was going to start off with something that's already very box shape in my photograph. I could pick this object. It's already a box. Let's pretend I was going to ship that to you. What size box would I have to put around this that would just barely cover the entire thing? And that's the box that I want to draw on here. So if you look at where it lines up, my green line is over here. It's farther in. So if I was going to be drawing that on here, I would look at this and bring it in. Part of it comes up, part of it comes down in terms of comparing it to the floor line back here. So I'm going to put my pencil right in this area. I think it would be approximately this far from the corner to here. And it's about this wide. And it comes up just a little higher than the green line in the photograph. If you look in the photograph, see it's just above the green line. So I'm going to make that match. So let me straighten those lines up with a ruler. So that's now the front of it right here. You can see I can also see the top of it and the right side of it. And the way I do that is just by going back to the vanishing point with these three corners. All right, so let's talk about this space for a second. If I look at this space and I'm drawing this line toward the vanishing point, it can't come past this horizontal line, because if this is the floor and this is the wall with a doorway on it, it can't be coming up into the doorway. So I need to make sure that this does not collide. So I'm going to put this floor line back in here. This is going to go to the vanishing point, but I'm going to stop it before it gets to that point. Now from here, if the front of it is vertical, the back is also going to be vertical. So here's the front, slide it over, here's the back. Now let's look at the horizontals. This is flat, this is flat. So now when I get to this corner right here, it's also flat. So that would be the box, approximately, that the ottoman would get shipped in. Now I'm looking at that and the proportions seem a little bit tall, so I probably should have made this a little bit higher up, which means that this would also get moved a little bit higher up. So I would have to do some adjusting and make this whole thing a little bit smaller. And that actually feels a little bit more accurate to the size that it is in the photograph. And then I think what I will do, I know there's objects on top of it, but I think I'm going to draw this big area rug as kind of like an anchoring point. I know I can't see most of it, but I can see a tiny bit of where it would start from, and I can see a little bit over here, and it's enough to kind of just place it lightly there to draw on top of. So if I look at this blue line and I try to figure out where that comes into the picture, if this is my green line, that's right here, there's a little bit of space to get to the blue line, and it does go to the vanishing point. So I think the blue line here is approximately here. So again, my ruler goes on the vanishing point. I want to look at how much of the floor space there's left next to it. There's that much space there, so I'm kind of eyeballing it. And then I'm going to lightly draw that line. I'm going to draw it a little darker so you can see it on camera better. But it's better if you draw light. The rug does also stop here before the floor. I don't know if you can tell in this picture, that's the rug. There's a little bit more wood floor, and then we get to the door. So this little tiny bit of space there goes right underneath the ottoman. And I know I can't see it, but it does continue over here. And then if you look at this little space, that's the rug right there. And you see how it comes off the bottom of the photograph? It doesn't come off the side, it comes off the bottom. So in terms of my paper, that might be right here. So I can put my ruler on the vanishing point, I can put my ruler on the bottom of my paper, and that's going to show me that's the edge of the area rug right there. So now that pencil line I just drew would go underneath this chair and underneath that ottoman and right to that vanishing point. So there's more to draw, but this is how much I want you to start with and then turn that in just so I can make sure you know how to set it up correctly. So just remember, every single line that is going away from you is going toward that vanishing point. And the size of the wall in your photograph should be approximately the size of your wall on your paper. So if you took a vertical picture, then you will need to take and do a vertical drawing. So it just depends on which way you took your photograph. All right, so what happens if your vanishing point in your photograph is to the side? So instead of being in the middle like it was in the last drawing, you can see it's in the left out of the window here. I'm going to start the drawing the same way. I'm going to look at these green lines and see where they fall in relation to the overall paper space. So if we start with this one, you can see it's really close to the edge. My camera angle must have been slightly up because that line is diagonal and it really should be vertical, straight up and down. So you can draw it either vertical or with that slight diagonal, but it's important that it's just super close to the edge the way that it is in the photograph. So if I put my ruler near the edge of my paper and draw this line down, figure out how far down to stop it. So again, it's just beyond halfway. Halfway is where this little blue dot is. It's just underneath that. So I'm going to carry this just past halfway. And then I'm going to draw the bottom green line across. And I don't know where to stop this, so let's look at that. Look at how big this chunk of space is over here. There's a lot of space from the left of the paper to here. So I want to leave about that much space on my drawing. So this would not be enough space. That would be too much. So if I'm trying to match this, I would say it's about here. And I'm going to carry that line across. So now that represents, again, my green lines back here. And my vanishing point, it's It's not down near the bottom, it's not up in the top. You can see how much space it is. It's a little bit closer to the bottom of this green rectangle. So if I'm looking at how far up it is, it's probably at this high up. And then space-wise, a little bit closer. So my vanishing point is probably right about here. So that pencil dot represents that red dot. Then that is also my horizon line. That's also my eye level. So this is my horizon line, this is my vanishing point, and to draw the corners of the room coming out, I don't have them in this photograph, but it's the same as the last one. I start with my pencil point on the vanishing point. I put my pencil point on the corner of the green wall, and I draw out. Pencil point here, pencil point here, and I draw out. Okay. So it looks really, really crooked, but if you look in my photograph here, it's also really, really crooked. So if I can just take this away for a second. You can see how if this is my paper space, this green line is very close to this edge and very far away from this edge. So I've added the green lines in, and if I just delete the photograph for a second, you can see how this green rectangle is off center, just like in the drawing, and there's a lot more space on the left side as I have here, a little tiny bit of space on the right, and a lot of space on the bottom. So it matches the green lines in this image here. So if I'm going to draw the box that this couch comes in, I look at where it is on my paper space, and it's going to be down in this section. So just loosely, without using a ruler, if I kind of just draw in the box. And then it's going to go to the vanishing point. So I sketched it in lightly. Let me draw it in a little bit more deliberately with the ruler. And now from there, I go to this vanishing point. And this is going to be the length of the couch going toward that vanishing point right there. It can't go past this back wall because the couch has to sit on the floor, and the floor ends right here. So from this area, I can go straight up, because if the front of the couch is vertical, then the back of the couch is vertical. And then here, if the front of the couch is horizontal, the back is horizontal. And that would be the box that the couch would fit inside of. And as for one other object to make it match the first drawing, let's look at that rug again. If you see, here's the center of the photograph. The rug comes slightly off center. So if I'm looking at, where's the middle of my picture? Okay, right here. So if I just come slightly to the right and I go back to the vanishing point, okay, we know that there's a little bit of wood floor showing right here. So I'm going to end the rug right here. And then I can see just a little bit where it comes off the paper right here. So that might be about this high up. So I'm going to put my pencil here, put my pencil on the vanishing point. And there is my rug. So now I have a drawing set up with the vanishing point on the left. And I have a drawing set up with the vanishing point in the center, which looks like that one. So first turn in your setup like these two images, and then after you get feedback from me, go ahead and work on your drawing. If you're in Studio Art, feel free to leave those vanishing points showing like this one. If you feel comfortable that your drawing is great and everything's accurate, then you can go on to shading. And Advanced Studio, definitely looking for a finished, refined shaded portfolio piece. Feel free to check in with me as many times as you need to along the way to get feedback or if you're having trouble on anything. Advanced Studio, you are also allowed to change media. If you would like to use something besides pencil, like ink or watercolors or colored pencils, go for it.